Time for Weekly Whiskey, which means it's time for more Implicit Bias. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon, and let me tell you, we have assembled a great crew here in the Top Secret Podcast Lair. Let's start by introducing you to who's here this week. We're going to start to my right. He's in the other bougie chair that we have happened to just somehow accumulate here in the TSPL. He is the Rustic Renegade, Caleb Morris. Good to see you. First of all, what is that on your shirt?
Gold.
Is that like a Diddy Party shirt?
It's bullets, first off, so I don't think that they
well, that could be at a Diddy Party. Who knows?
Could be there. But it's also little RRs. Not for the Rustic Renegade, but for a brand of shirt that I sell.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It just happens to go with. If these were my shirts, like that's whenever Rustic's made it big time, is when we have our own little Hawaiian shirts.
And you got your own line of clothing. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, cool. All right. So he is the Rustic Renegade, in case you haven't figured that out. At the bar, we actually have a special guest who was here not too long ago. I was kind of shocked when he came in. Eli Tate of Gambino's Bakery, which, by the way, for those of you who happen to be listening in the New Orleans area, we are on there. Yes, same family, same bakery, the same one that's been around, the king of dough bash cakes forever. It's Gambino's Bakery. Eli Tate has the one here in Lafayette. He's a member of the Gambino family. I know Tate Gambino. Just roll with it. Eli, it's good to have you back.
Oh, it's great to be back, Kevon. And man, I like the new digs. This place looks great.
A little more comfortable?
Oh, absolutely. A lot more comfortable. A lot more comfortable. I like sitting at the bar.
I was about to say, do you like sitting at the bar during the show?
This. Absolutely. This is great.
Good. And I saw that you also brought gifts, which is the reason we keep you on the show. But that's a whole nother story. Because when you bring pedophores, we love it here in the Top Secret Podcast Lair. Sitting at the bar with you is Grant Galatas of William S. Nacall Jewelers, an OG member of the Implicit Bias crew. He is known as K&B, as in Kennebra. What's up, Mr. Galatas?
Oh, good. Always a pleasure to be back. And I hope I don't get in trouble for this, but now that you've expanded your territory now, you are the king and godfather of Gambino's Baton Rouge and New Orleans.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Forgot to bring a gift. I know that's out of respect that we do that. I want to stay in good graces since you're so close.
You don't come see me as a friend. You don't bring me a cannoli. You don't bring me...
That's it. Exactly right. It's good to be back, though. Always a pleasure.
Pleasure to have you here. So this is our weekly whiskey segment where we are diving into Ghostwood whiskeys out of Bozeman, Montana. I remembered it this week, not Missouri. Bozeman, Montana, as I just happened to misspeak last week. But we have been down kind of the rabbit hole of their blended bourbon. We have been down the rabbit hole of their, barrel strength? Was what the last one was?
That's exactly what it was, the barrel proof.
The barrel proof. Yep. And now we are on their Chardonnay Cask Finish. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about all the ways that they think we're stupid on this week's episode. Let's start with the weekly whiskey, though. Oh, we got to at least let him say something. He's kind of the voice in the ether. We don't have a camera for him yet because we don't feel like breaking a camera when his face is on it. Walker Griffon, how are you?
I'm doing good. Glad to be here.
Wait, what was that, Caleb?
Remember, last show I was like, I'm going to act out whenever he talks. So that way we'll have a face. So he talks with his hands tonight.
Okay, so...
Because he can't talk with his hands.
So
he's doing this other stuff.
He's deaf, but he's not mute.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. All right, Walker. Actually, I'm really impressed, Walker. You were here like almost right on time. Did you end your normal show? So for those who don't know, Walker's got his own show. It ends right before our recording time. He happened to make it here to produce the show almost right on time. I was impressed.
Yeah, no, I did same time as usual. Just didn't catch any red lights.
Okay. No red lights. Don't get any speeding tickets. I know your father. I don't want to have your dad call me that you got a $200 ticket for running a light or speeding or whatever. All right, so let's dive into our weekly whiskey, which we're going to start with you, Walker, because, oh my goodness, you're done.
I didn't get that much. So
don't
Caleb.
lie. Don't
Caleb,
lie.
I swear I didn't get that much in mine.
Yeah, sure. Remember, you have to be able to edit this episode when it's done. So I'm just curious. So what do you think about this? It's the Ghostwood Chardonnay Cask Finish.
I mean, mixed emotions.
Okay, what are the mixed emotions? I mean, let's talk about it.
I didn't like the smell that much, and then like the aftertaste, kind of bitter. Do get some a champagne-y type thing, type feel like that. So I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of it.
Okay, it's fair, absolutely fair. Let's go to the bar and let's start with Grant, as I know the 5 and 6 year old that we have over here. known as Crockett and Tubby, which we've talked about earlier. They just are not going to be able to keep themselves from laughing throughout the rest of the show. At the bar, I'm curious as to what you think about this particular bottle of Ghostwood.
Just out of curiosity, because we know how Caleb feels about anything done in a Chardonnay cask or
Anything that's a cask
cherry
finish.
cask.
Yeah,
that's-
Caleb has issues with.
I'm just curious. Has there ever been a successful marriage between those two concepts?
Oh, four gate.
Okay, so Four Gate, the Bluegrass Trilogy 3,
It's phenomenal.
which comes in at 120 proof. It is a blend of 4 different whiskeys finished 4 different ways. Sherry cask finish,
It's port, sherry,
a couple other finishes.
Twinkies, and something else.
Okay, so the
But
answer is
Caleb,
no.
Caleb
basically.
Caleb likes that one. He
Yeah, I
loves that
love
one.
the
It's a
4 gate.
straight up blue.
Yeah.
But outside of that, Caleb has never. I mean, he's Mikey when it comes to this one. He won't
Yeah.
drink anything that's
So,
finished.
so out of the 1,200 bottles that y'all have consumed here on the show in 4 years, was one. So I'm still going to take that as a no.
Pretty much.
It's an interesting taste.
There's
It really
one
is.
exception to the rule, and that's about it.
Gotcha. I'm gonna have to try that. No, Chardonnay cask. You get obviously the fruity. I mean, overwhelmingly fruity and just light and airy, and I don't know. It's not offensive like we were talking about off air. It's got an interesting little taste.
Okay. So when you say, I like that you actually brought up fruit with this one. So you say you get a light, fruity kind of taste with this. Any thoughts on what kind of fruit you get?
Oh no, I don't go that deep. You know that.
Okay.
Yeah, that takes Caleb's sophisticated palate. He'll pull out some kind of fruit from the leeward side of the Hawaiian Islands during the vernal equinox, and I can't put my finger or my tongue on any kind of specific fruit because you want to immediately say just berries and cherries, but I'm not getting a specific.
So
taste out of this.
I never got necessarily berries or cherry on this one, but I did get a very specific fruit, which is why I asked. Because yes, I think this does come across as light. It comes across as it's got fruitiness to it. So I'm curious to see kind of where the rest of everybody comes in. All right, Eli, let's see what you have to say about this one. I know this is maybe not necessarily right up your alley with whiskey because the Chardonnay cask finish is difficult to do.
Yeah, I didn't get really excited about this one. It has fruitiness, definitely not passion fruit because I'm not going to say that I'm passionate about it. So I know it's not passion fruit, but I get more of a floral, a floral taste on the front end. It is a little bitter on the back end, and there's a flavor, and the best way I can describe it is going to be there's going to be different, but I get a cedar.
Okay.
Taste
no,
or
I can
feel to it.
I can see
so
that.
There's something that's like reminds me of my grandfather's cedar chest.
It's not like it's not like you get
it's
a
not
dark
overpowering.
oaky flavor for the wood, but you get a lighter flavor of the wood. I get that. I can see that.
So but yeah, I'm definitely not a huge fan, but I finished my glass. So
Well, and this is the interesting thing, and this is where I'll go before we hand it off to the person who's going to give us the long, drawn out, some fruit from somewhere on the far side of the Easter Island, right? And I'm actually going to steal probably some of his thunder. So this one, yes, I absolutely get lighter. I get more honeysuckle on this. So I don't get deep honey. I don't get any caramel at all on this. What I get is a lighter flavor to it. Like I said, I get honeysuckle. Here's the other thing I get on it. I get notes, and I don't necessarily get this on the nose. On the nose, it's exceptionally winey to me. I get a lot of that light white wine almost on the nose. It's almost too winey on the nose for me. But on the palate, I get, and this is where we're going to have some fun because I want to make fun of the Rustic Renegade here for a minute. So did you ever go to your grandmother's house and your grandmother had a pear tree in the backyard? And you go and you pick that pear tree off of the eastern side of it, so it gets morning sun, not afternoon sun, and it's crisp and it's light and it's a little sometimes too sweet, but it's not that afternoon sun that gives you the dark, deep flavor that you can get in a pear. That's what I get on this one.
It's good. Like that's
Is that right?
When you were talking about fruit, I was trying to put my finger on it. I put 3 different ones down because I was like, it's not really apricot.
Nope.
And I was like, maybe pear, maybe. Mm-hmm. Or it also could be like, you ever had a pawpaw fruit?
Here we go. No.
There's the Cajun name for them.
Is that what you called it was a pawpaw fruit?
No, that's what they're really called. I'm going to remember it later, but it's a Cajun term for
There's
it as
a
well.
really bad joke there that would get us in a lot of trouble, and I'm going to leave that alone.
It's like a bitter pear. It tastes like a bitter pear or like a weird banana at times. If you get them when they're not...
It's either a bitter pear or a weird banana. That's a really weird banana. That's all I'm going to say. Because I never had a pear that was close to tasting like a banana.
Whenever you taste them when they're ripe, they taste like a strange, very off banana. And if you taste them whenever they're not ripe, like on the early side of it, it's like a bitter pear. That's the flavor I'm getting on this. And what's funny is you get a lot of the same flavors because it's the same mash bill. So you're going to get on the palate, on the nose, you get that honey, you get the hint of like toasted almonds or maybe a little bit caramel almond, very slight. But then on the palate, you get that same little bit of wood. I like this cedar. That was a really good point because it's faint and it's got that kind of acidic flavor to it. But then it's that fruit, and the fruit is the end of it. It's the finish of it. I definitely think it's got to be the Chardonnay barrels. And
oh, there's no doubt. There is no doubt the Chardonnay barrels, to me, bring it too far to the wine side.
On the nose, like I put honey, smells almost the same, finishes like cheap champagne.
So I'm going to ask if you remember this, Caleb. Do you remember when we had the St. Thomas Chardonnay Cask Finish on the show? If you do, it's not because it was good. It's not because you liked it. I remember it specifically because I remember thinking, I will never sample another Chardonnay Cask Finish ever again. Yeah. This makes me rethink that, to be quite honest.
And we can't say never because, look, we're going to try it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like we've had things on here where we were like, well, no, that's horrible. And I've tried it again to see if maybe I got a bad batch or if it was just the day or the night. So, I mean, I'll drink it again, but it's like,
Even if you think back to, we've done a lot of Penelope on the show. Penelope did a rosé cask finish. And it wasn't necessarily for us here on the show. It didn't fit the flavor profile that we particularly like, which is 115 to 130 proof, heavy caramel, deep oak flavor. That's what we really like. That rosé cask finish, obviously not going to finish there. But if you remember, Caleb, we had a lot of female listeners who absolutely loved that bottle. And I am of the belief that our female listeners...
Well, and look, I'm sure there are guys out here that would like this too. I mean, it just depends on your palate. This just doesn't jive with what I like.
Agreed. What I find really interesting about this, and I haven't said this about a whiskey in a while, it's not necessarily what I like, but I can understand how somebody would really like this because it's done well.
And look, I like whenever people try something different. The rosé finish, the Chardonnay, and all these other strange things that people are trying to do now because bourbon has become very, very mainstream, right? And it's the hip thing to do. So I like people trying to push the envelope. At the same time, like I like what I like, you know, and I like traditional, hardcore, 120 proof, just punch in the mouth bourbon.
You like aggressive. You like bite. You like spice. We're rye guys. We really like well-done ryes because a well-done rye at 6 to 7 years is going to taste like a 10, 12, 15-year-old bourbon. Grant, you want to chime in?
Yeah, it's 90 proof as well, so that pretty much puts it out of everybody.
Well,
I think at a high proof, that Chardonnay would be too much for me.
So I was just about to say, I think the proof on this actually makes it more palatable. The 90 proof, watering it down just a bit more, really to me makes it's an easy drinker. It's not necessarily in my wheelhouse, but if someone were to offer it to me, I wouldn't turn it down. So we know it's not a red on my Morse Whiskey Rating Code. We know that this is nowhere near a red. I've had reds that we've brought on this show before. We've had them multiple times, and this ain't that. This is not nearly as bad as some of those that we've had. Matter of fact, I actually think this is palatable, drinkable, and it's going to explain where I'm going to rate this in a minute on the Morse Whiskey Rating Code. So let's do that. Let's cycle through the room. Let's rate this on the Morse Whiskey Rating Code, and let's play What Would You Pay? Eli, if I can get you to hold up the What Would You Pay championship belt chain at the bar, show it to everybody out there who's going to watch on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X, which, by the way, please go find us, because let me tell you, this is what we do. This is the TSPL, and if you're listening on the radio, well, you don't want to see me, and you don't want to see Caleb either. But you do probably want to see the bar, and you want to see the bottles of whiskey, and you want to see the What Would You Pay championship belt chain, and we're going to save you from having to see Walker. So, all right, let's do that. Let's start at the bar. Number 1, where do you rate this on the Morse Whiskey Rating Code? Is it a red? I wouldn't drink it even if it was free. Is it a yellow? I would only drink it if it was free. Is it a green? I would buy this. Or is it a blue? I would seek this out. And then give us what you would pay, or what you would put as a dollar amount on this particular bottle of Ghostwood Chardonnay Cask at 90 proof. Who's going to start? Eli, you grab the mic.
I'm gonna put this a yellow.
Okay.
I'll drink it if it's at somebody's house, which there are very few reds out there for me. But I would put this as a high yellow. I mean, it wasn't horrible. And we know it's 90 proof. I would put this around $70.
$70 and a yellow. Okay, Grant, what you going in at?
I'm gonna give it an Old Yeller as well.
Okay.
It's a longer process. I think I read it's like 6 years barreled, maybe. So that might be a little bit more. But would you say, Eli?
He gave it 70.
I'm gonna say 65.
65. All right, Walker, what are you thinking? Caleb, go ahead and sign for him.
Yellow. Yeah. And I'll probably get 63.
63. Okay. All right, Caleb, what are you thinking?
I was guessing at 9. It was like I threw those up real fast to see what happened. Can I say something? I made a mistake, I think, earlier.
Uh-oh.
Not a pawpaw, a Maliton.
Oh, a Militon. Yeah.
That's
a
the
Militon. Okay, if you don't know what that is, you're not from Southern Louisiana.
That's the flavor I'm getting.
It's also known as a chayote squash
Yeah.
when cooked in Mexico. So that's what we call a Militon here in Southern Louisiana.
I said I was going through and scrolling. I'm like, man, no. And then I saw the picture and I was like, that's it. That's the flavor.
I've never heard of it.
It's another, it's a little fruit thing too. I had 'em
Anyway.
yeah.
All right.
Oops.
So you rate this,
It's a yellow for me.
and what would you pay?
$58.
A yellow and 58. All right. So to me, this is a beautiful Chardonnay colored yellow, which means if somebody gave it to me, I would drink it. I don't find it dispalatable. I think this is the absolute definition of what a good yellow is, because it is drinkable. It is enjoyable. It is not distasteful at all. It is just something that doesn't necessarily fit my palate, but something that if you are a wine drinker and if you like white wine, if you are looking for something because your wife drinks a lot of white wine, this is in your wheelhouse, right? If you drink a lot of white wine, this might be in your wheelhouse and might be really, really enjoyable. The winner for the What Would You Pay championship belt chain is, if you would please hand that to me from the bar, Caleb Morse wins the What Would You Pay championship belt chain, because this is $50.99 in the Implicit Bias Weekly Whiskey Partner Network. Yes, a $50 bottle of whiskey. Well, 50 and change. So Caleb gets to wear the What Would You Pay championship belt chain for the rest of this show. We, for the rest of this show, will come back. We'll continue to sample more whiskeys, and we'll talk about how they think we're stupid on Implicit Bias.